Well, let's go to another organization that's been having some trouble here, and some mishaps, and talk about being in mediocrity for a long time and really haven't had seasons to hang their hat on since he got fired. And that's Rex Ryan being fired from the Jets.
Jets.
Woof, man. I got to tell you what. That game on Sunday night, 15-6. It looked like they were starting to figure things out. They're flying around. Russell Wilson looked like he was still trying to get in that mode. And all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers throws that pick right before the half. Great play by Bishop Jr., by the way. Turning around, extends his arm, makes a play, right? And then the Steelers rack off, 31 unanswered points.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jets lose again and now sit at 2-5. And this is the part, and it's comical to me, the reaction here, but you know who loves to see the Jets kind of in misery?
Who's that?
Bill Belichick. So Bill Belichick hopped right on to talk to Pat McAfee and wasted zero time having a conversation about how he feels about the New York Jets.
He's a man who loves the New York Jets.
Loves them.
Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest coach of all time and the greatest general manager of all time, Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Oh. Coach, how are you doing, pal?
Good, Pat. Good. How's it going?
Good.
Hey,
go ahead.
You're a little too hard on me on those Jets. I thought Coach Law did a good job with that team, rebuilding the culture and all that. Last 2 weeks, I don't know. I don't know if they were a lot better on defense when he was there.
Okay, so is that something that maybe is not being talked about, is the absence of solid defensive strategy with how their entire playing? And what are your thoughts on this Jets season? They're seemingly going all in here. 2-5, whatever the record is, not great at this standpoint. You think they have enough talent to turn it around, or what are you seeing from this Jets team?
Well, I just don't understand the head coaching move, that's all. But, I mean, the Jets are the Jets, and, Woody's Woody, so Woody's Woody.
He's an ambassador. He's an ambassador, Johnson, not Wood. Ambassador Johnson. Bill, obviously.
Yeah. So is this a big AFC East show today? Is that the story?
So,
Woody's gonna Woody.
The Jets are the Jets, and Woody is Woody.
Woody is Woody.
Like how that's how you're just calling out the owner of the Jets here. And obviously, for those that forget, Bill Belichick was the Jets head coach for literally a hot minute.
Yeah.
And then where he infamously wrote that he was resigning on the napkin. Man, the Jets, but it's a good way to describe it. The move, if they thought Robert Saleh was the reason why this team's not playing well, and also who fires a coach during the season where I actually I'm genuinely curious. I don't know, Brad, Zach, if you guys can think where you fire a head coach mid-season and you go on and win the Super Bowl.
Head coach, no.
I can't think of one.
Obviously,
offensive coordinator. We've seen it. Ravens.
Yeah. So, but no, if we're talking, and it's the same argument I had I'll even go one step further. Last offseason, when people were talking about bringing in Mike McDonald as the head coach of the Ravens over Harbaugh, it's hard to just switch the culture like that, especially for a first-time head coach, and go and win a Super Bowl. So if anyone knows anything about building a culture that can win Super Bowls, I'm going to trust Bill Belichick. And if anyone knows about the dysfunctionality of the New York Jets, it's Bill Belichick. I mean, he's seen it firsthand and as an opposing coach for decades. So the Jets are the Jets. It made no sense at the time, especially when your bread and butter was, like Bill said, they played damn good defense. They were a good defensive team, and you needed to figure out what's happening on offense. So they fired their defensive-minded coach and then promoted another defensive-minded. So I don't know. And the offense, Devontae was here to save the day. He didn't. Maybe Randall Cobb is next to
join him.
Yeah. I also real fast want to say I love that it's inevitable. No matter how many star players play with Aaron Rodgers recently, it's always Alan Lazard's team. It's just always Alan Lazard's team.
And it's his world.
It's just his world.
And we're living in it. And go ahead, Brad.
I was just going to say, so, the thing with Woody too, clearly didn't look at the rest of the schedule. I mean, look, even if the first part of the season was rough and let's just say you keep Saleh, you bring Devontae Adams in, your defensive scheme stays the same. it would have been easy for them to rip off 6 of the next 7 games. I mean, next week they got New England, then there's Houston. They're probably going to lose that game indefinitely. Arizona, Indianapolis, Seattle, Miami, Jacksonville, the Rams, Buffalo, Miami. I mean, they could, if they had stuck with their original game plan and their original scheme, they could have probably won the next 10 out of 12 games. 10 out of 12 games, I could say, are all winnable for the Jets if that defense was still performing the way that it was performing from the beginning of the year.
It just,
and they're getting Reddick back, or not
well,
back, supposedly,
yeah,
allegedly.
But honestly, the timeline for all of this for them last year, Rodgers is the one that has the Achilles injury. We know what happened there. Yeah. Zach Wilson wasn't the guy. Then they wanted to put all the blame on him. And then you come back and you give benefit to the doubt. I give benefit to the doubt to start off saying, hey, it happened with Peyton Manning and the Broncos when he went there. Offense took a while to get going. Rodgers is trying to come back, but he was older than Peyton when Peyton went to Denver. On top of it, then the pressure of New York of like, hey, we need to do this right now. And there was definitely already turmoil. It was just passing the issue off to somebody else instead of addressing it. I will say, I'm going to pull up this clip. They asked Aaron, what's the thing for you guys to keep belief in the locker room? Actually, it's kind of funny, the first answer, but then I want to continue on with it because the next thing's about with accountability. But let me pull that clip up on Twitter. Let me present. Key and Pill says present. Let's
present.
Here it is. Let me play this clip for you. Ready? Can you guys see it?
Yep.
There we go.
You get everybody to keep the belief, and it seems like a lot of the same mistakes.
Stop listening to you guys. Number one. Number two, got to be accountable. You know, I got to play better. That's the key. I got to play better. We got to find a way to run the ball better so we can action pass. I thought did some nice things in the passing game. Brees obviously had a couple of really nice ones. Spread the ball around to Tay, G, and Allen. Mike had a nice conversion. But we got to run the ball better, and I got to play better.
So to be fair, the Jets are banged up in the secondary. Like their team is a shell of a defense that they were to start the year. Having said that, they were dominating the game until the pick at the end of the first half. It was 15-6. Now, the only thing I bring up right there, it's a good message. You can't listen to the outside noise. You got to focus. But you can tell there is, by the day, more frustrations building inside the building, outside the building. Accountability is a great word, but the ironic thing is that I don't feel like there's been a lot of accountability with the Jets.
None.
It feels like every other person has been blamed on the Jets except the actual Jets. And Aaron Rodgers hasn't played well. Their offensive line hasn't played well. Russell Wilson did his, and it's your favorite line, did his high knees.
Yeah.
And then came in and they put up 37 on a top 10 defense. 37 in 2 quarters. They put up 31 points.
Yeah. And obviously I don't want to put all the blame on the Jets defense because like you said, the injuries, Sauce going out, the secondary is a shell of itself, and the offense set them up in horrendous position. I mean, the one time was literally on the 1 yard line. They had a bunch of times where they were just starting in positive territory, the Steelers, that is, because of the Jets' lack of offense. But it does start with Aaron Rodgers. It's just one of those things where, yeah, you can talk about obviously the ball that goes off, the numbers for Garrett Wilson, stuff like that completely changed the game. But multiple times, especially with Devontae Adams and across the middle with Garrett Wilson, he had guys open. And I'm not just talking like, oh, there was a window. These guys were at one point, Devontae Adams was coming across on a crossing route.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And Patrick Queen was 10 yards behind him, trailing him. If he hits Devontae in the numbers, it's 40 yards. They're sitting in the end zone. I've seen them run that play a million times, and it works. And Rodgers just flat out missed him. He just flat out missed him. And those are the things that are holding the Jets back. It's not Robert Saleh. It's not the defense, the injured defense. It's the fact that even when the opportunities are there, they are not getting the job done. They're not finishing drives. They're going down the field and then making mistakes. They multiple times yesterday, they'd have a big play followed up by a 5-yard false start, a holding. It was just over and over. This team consistently shoots themselves in the foot.
Well, and ironically, they almost shot themselves in the foot by challenging, and then Ober couldn't get the challenge flag on the field.
It's the best fumble they've had all year.
And then they score. Shirts and pants, man. I tell you what, I want to see. And also, if Devontae Adams caught that crossing route, a lot of people that might have taken over 50 yards receiving for Devontae Adams, who had 30 at the break, by the way.
Yep. Oh, don't worry. Why do you think I remember all the routes, Devontae? All 9 targets that he had. Only caught 3.